Oh, hey, am I frozen?
Oh,
Oh
a little bit.
no. It's
But
not
you
a
look
bad
so
face to be
nice.
frozen. Should
It's
we
a
go back?
great face to be frozen. Hello, Canada. We're gonna try and get this show on the road. Sheila Gunn Reid. Is it? Oh,
I'm
oh,
back.
I see her a little bit. Hold on.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
there
back.
we
That was not a
go.
bad face to be frozen with. You're watching Rebel Roundup. It's Rebel News' daily news and opinion show. I'm your host, Sheila Gunn Reid. I'm joined by my very best friend in the whole wide world, my co-host on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Lise Merle. Lise, how's it going?
Oh, Sheila Gunn Reid. Well, it's a fantastic day to be a wild Western woman from Saskatchewan again. And nobody, and I do mean nobody on planet Earth, is more delighted to have our guest today on Western Wednesdays. So
Yes.
on
And
with the show.
yes, we got to get on with the show because our guest has a hard out. So this is the Buffalo panel. We have usually one or two guests that join us to talk about issues facing Western Canadians. If you're watching us on Rumble, excellent free speech platform. You want to get involved in the show, you can do that by way of a Rumble rant. That's our paid chat. You can support our work that way. If it's over $5, we'll read it on air. If you're watching us on YouTube, censorship platform, but that's okay. We're monetized over there. If you want to leave a paid chat, theirs is called a super chat. They also have a paid comment called a super thanks. Let's bring in our guest because we want as much time with him as possible. It is independence activist, trucker, lawyer, and founder of a new third-party advertiser group, Keith Wilson. Keith, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, oh, we're glad to have you. Before we came on air, you were talking about uh, an attack, I guess, that just came towards the independence movement by way of the Calgary Chamber of Commerce. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so today the Calgary Chamber of Commerce has issued a press release. Apparently, they did a survey of their members, some kind of online thing where they asked their members to respond. So this was not a representative poll. And 48% of them apparently indicated that they may relocate out of Calgary and Alberta if Alberta were to exercise its constitutional right to seek independence. And I quickly had my team with the new group that we have in support of independence called Let Alberta Decide match their press release, and we put a press release out over the wire as well, so that Albertans can have both sides of the discussion available to them so that they can make an informed choice. And that's exactly what the new group's about. And I'm happy to share with you. There it is, the website. Our campaign is Alberta's Done Waiting. And our new group is called Let Alberta Decide. We're a registered third-party advertiser with Elections Alberta. It costs a lot of money to do wire service press releases, but
Mm-hmm.
we have to meet these guys on the battlefield. So if anybody wants to donate, we'd be grateful. We've got a lot of interesting things in store to win this.
Well, I'm really pleased to see that. You know, I just did a fact check this morning as part of my third-party advertiser group, Alberta's Choice, formerly uh, uh, anyways, doesn't matter what it was formerly called, but for the purposes of the referendum campaign, it's called Alberta's Choice, so albertas-choice.com. And our fact check points out that, you know, while they're threatening that, oh, people are going to leave en masse, blah, 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 that's just not true. We have the highest numbers of inward migration in the entire country. Um, and these threats are being made with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. In spite of the federalist fear mongering, people from all across the country see Alberta as a place to seek opportunity and to live an affordable, free life, at least as far as you can escape government overreach, although it's there in the background everywhere in your life. We gained like over 500,000 residents from other provinces since 1995. And that is over double what landed in British Columbia. So, I mean, it's clear that our fellow Canadians know that this is the best place to seek your goals and seek opportunity.
Well, and you know what's important about this for all of us to keep in mind when we look at this propaganda coming out of some of the lefties at the Chamber of Commerce in Calgary, is that what their survey was measuring was fear, not opportunity.
Right.
And the reality is stark. The reality is that the farmland is not leaving, the oil and gas reserves are not leaving, the incredible industrial infrastructure, processing, food processing, petrochemical, fertilizer plants, all of these things that generate our economic activity and create jobs are not leaving. The youngest, most skilled workforce in Canada is in Alberta and is growing, is not leaving. Investment's not leaving. Investment has been leaving. RBC's report from over a month ago found that over $1 trillion in investment left Canada, primarily Alberta, because of the uncertainty created by Ottawa. Independence frees us from that uncertainty. We will have an economic boom with certainty. And I just want you to both to know that one of the things they did in this release that the Chamber made is they made a comparison to Brexit.
Oh,
In
so
Brexit,
stupid.
the UK was seeking to change and, in some respects, end its relationship with its largest market, Europe, right? Alberta's largest market happens to be the closest one to us, distance-wise, and distance is a cost. So the shorter the distance, the more efficient you can enter that market. It's called the United States of America. It starts at the Montana border. It's also where over 90% of our economy goes. It is supported by and driven, and exports go to. So for Alberta to become independent, we can negotiate a trade deal with the United States for Alberta that's beneficial for Alberta. Look at what's happening right now in the news today in the last couple of days. The CUSMA negotiations are failing. And in part what's happening is the Carney government is trying to prop up the economic needs of central Canada, the manufacturing economy there, at the expense of Alberta. So I just dismiss this, this new poll survey of some minority members of the Calgary business community as fear-mongering. It's not based in fact. Its analogy to Brexit is completely flawed. And the reality is Alberta has the third largest reserve of oil in the world. We should be the most prosperous country in the world. We have everything it takes to be our own country, and we've outgrown Ottawa.
You know, Olivia, can you bring back up what you were showing there? This is a very interesting number. 80% of member respondents, so that's only the people who responded, think the discussion around separatism is negatively affecting Alberta's economy, and 63% report that the discussion is having a negative effect on their business. So that's a lot of think and feel. But the facts are that Alberta's economy is the only thing keeping the rest of Canada afloat. While everything else tumbles into recession and acts as an anchor around the leg of Alberta, we are doing our best to keep our head above water in spite of the feds. Our economy is growing, not contracting. So a lot of people are saying they feel a lot of things. 80% of people are feeling things. I don't care about their feelings.
Yeah,
and I mean that in the nicest possible way.
Yeah, and maybe the negative returns that their businesses are producing now is because they have Canada flags and elbows up all the time. Like maybe consumers are rejecting them, not the other way around. But if you take a look at the Calgary Chamber website and go to the, the Calgary Chamber team, this is not a group of people that you're going to trust to, to be the arbiters of what's best for everybody. Okay. I'm just going to say it's a very heavily woman-led team. Okay. If you know my meaning. Yeah. And maybe they could use some good male influence instead of firing out these things the way they did.
Well, let's not kid ourselves. That's a political organization.
Yes, it is.
It's not.
Thank you.
Like this is a political organization, particularly Deborah Yedlin. But there's I don't really care about feelings. I care about tangible results. And the results are that Alberta's economy is growing And when people say that they're feeling things that the economy is retracting, it's just not true. Maybe you're just ingesting too much CBC. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Keith.
Well, and this is all the other side's got. The Federalists and those who are promoting Ottawa continuing to have control over our lives here in Alberta and make the rules that affect us and take our money without representation. That's all they got is fear and try and claim uncertainty. There's been a number of other groups that have formed. Of course, we've got Mr. Lukasik with Forever Canadian. We've got the Defenders and the A team for Ottawa being former Premier Jason Kenney and the Solberg family and a few others of the conservative establishment elites who are wanting to be in the Club of Ottawa. But none of them they all acknowledge that Alberta's being held back. They all acknowledge that we have legitimate grievances, that there's a democratic deficit, that we never can elect a government. They'll always be imposed on us by Ottawa and Quebec. They recognize that equalization is fundamentally unfair, that we send all this money to Ottawa continuously and don't get much back. But then they offer zero plan to actually address those grievances. All they offer is fear and uncertainty and hope. Hope that maybe someday. But we have Meech Lake Accord failed, Charlottetown Accord, even Jason Kenney in his debate with me at the end of May volunteered in his speaking position during the debate that the Constitution is unamendable. It's never going to be amended. Just the amending formula and the politics and the demographics of Canada, it's unamendable. So there is one way out, and that is to follow the path laid out by the Supreme Court of Canada, the 1998 reference case, succession case, that says if a clear majority vote on a clear question, they can negotiate they can become an independent country and negotiate nation to nation with the rest of Canada. And that's what Alberta should do.
Now, for people who think that we're just exaggerating the inequity that Alberta experiences, there's a real-time website called ottawatakes.com, and it's wild. Olivia, can you bring that up? Let's watch the ticker.
Oh,
as
this
we're
is gonna
talking
hurt,
here.
isn't it?
It's gruesome. This is the net dollars Albertans have sent to Ottawa and have not gotten back since 2007. $634 every second.
And if you scroll, if Efron's able to scroll down, you'll see there's some other matrix there that are very important as well. And it shows, the individual contributions that each of us are making to Ottawa that we don't get back, and they get to spend on whatever they think is important, whether it's massive subsidies to Brookfield-related companies or crazy ideological stuff in third world countries where they're focused on LGBTQ plus stuff. That's the money that comes out of hardworking Albertans' pockets and goes to Ottawa, over which we have no say. So, and just to give credit where credit is due, that's one of the websites that we just developed and launched as part of our campaign with Alberta Decide. And I'm not suggesting you do that now, but anybody who goes to this website will be able to link back and help us. And this is what I'm doing. You both know that we had a formal campaign launch last week in Calgary on Friday. We did a traditional style press conference. There was, of course, Rebel was there and Ezra himself was there. I was very pleased to see that. But also, we managed to get all of the legacy media out.
Yeah, but then they lied about you. They said it was a rally. Then they lied about you. They said it was a rally.
It was so funny. We invited 25 people.
Right.
And 35 showed up.
Yeah.
And some of the legacy media said it was a rally and it flopped because 35 people showed up. And I'm like, well, we only invited 25. But there was almost 30 media there, and there was multiple camera setups, and what we're trying to do is I'm as frustrated as anybody with the bias of the legacy media, and they just demonstrated it again. This was an invite-only press release targeting and exclusive for the legacy media. And here they did their smear thing, and I'm like, no wonder people don't pay for your product anymore.
Right.
But I'm holding my nose. And I just got a request this morning from Global for an interview, and I responded immediately. I got a request from CBC. I responded immediately. I'm going to make myself available as long as my co-lead, Tanya Clements, who's amazing Albertan mom, a former school teacher, a farmer, fifth generation farmer from Blackie, Alberta. We're going to make ourselves available to the legacy media. And if they smear us, that's fine. Of course, we're going to put as much energy into alternative and independent media, rather, like Rebel. But we're going to try and we've got to reach people that are outside of our echo chambers. We've got to reach Albertans who haven't yet made up their mind. We've got to reach Albertans who aren't politically engaged. So we're going to be using lots of interesting techniques, classic techniques such as press conferences, press releases like we issued today within an hour of the Chamber's press release coming out. But we're also going to be using new strategies, new digital strategies, new social media strategies, combining them with AI. We have a sophisticated campaign team. We're really getting started, but I hate to do this. I'm volunteering everything, 100% of my time, with my wife's permission, thank God.
Same lady, good lady.
But to do these things requires donations, and it's all legally set up. Every I is dotted and T crossed. If people are inclined to help us move this forward and really create a new opportunity for our children and grandchildren through an independent Alberta, could sure use your help.
Yeah, and those reporting rules are onerous. I say this as someone with their own third-party advertiser. It used to be
but
called
not for everybody, Sheila.
No,
for the
not for Thomas
pro-Canada
Lukaszuk
side.
and Forever
Thomas
Canada.
Lukaszuk has been openly advertising inviting people to make donations to him with no limit, and that's illegal. And he was receiving money and spending money for several weeks without having registered, and so far no action by Elections Alberta. But if you were to do a book tour or something, you're going to be investigated.
I couldn't even put up a billboard to promote my book without having authorized by Act for Alberta, which is what Alberta's Choice was known before we kicked off the campaign for the referendum. But yeah, it's serious business to be a third-party advertiser, and it requires a lot of unpaid work. Lots of it. But I think it's a
labor of love. It's a labor of love.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just a labor of love. Look at the direction of the country.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
And we're going to go down with this ship, and our kids are going to go down with this ship, and our grandkids are going to go down with this ship.
Yeah.
We know it's such a spectacular statistic. I use it regularly, which is the Trudeau Liberals, in the 10 years they were in office, increased the debt by more than all of the other governments in the history of Canada combined.
Right.
Oh.
Like, that is spectacular. And in addition to that, Carney's burn rate is almost double Trudeau's.
Yep.
So every time they stand up and they announce $10 billion for this and $3.5 billion to make groceries less expensive, where is that money coming from? It's coming from each of us, and our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren are going to be paying the interest charges on that credit card. So the best thing we can do is say to Ottawa, you got a spending problem. We're not letting you have our credit card anymore. We're not letting you reset the spending limit and max it out. We're done. We don't, and the simple matter is, and it's not just, there's a moral deficit coming out of Ottawa, and we see it with the corruption that's rampant. $200 million for a concrete pad and gravel pad in Nova Scotia. And who got paid? Liberal insiders. The RCMP don't investigate anything unless it's on our side of the political equation. And then you see pictures of the commissioner of the RCMP who holds his job at the pleasure of the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister backslapping one another and laughing for the cameras. So I could keep going. So we have this moral deficit where Ottawa doesn't even try and hide the corruption anymore.
That's right.
There's a club there that participates, and Albertans want no part of it, and in increasing numbers are seeing it. And what's remarkable is we have a choice to free ourselves from this dark path and set a new path forward. We've outgrown Ottawa.
Yeah, having a third-party advertiser group is not just an act of love, a labor of love. It's an act of self-defense at this point.
And a rejection of Ottawa's vision of what we should be. We're tired of having Ottawa tell us who we are and what we can and can't do. And obviously, I'm invested in Alberta's success because I'm also invested in Saskatchewan's success.
Look, if we break free, you will too. I know Keith has to go. We'll see if we can get him out of here a couple minutes early, but I want to show you this thing that Alberta's Choice did. And I think it's excellent. I think it is, and no offense to you, Keith, because I'm sure you got some bangers in your pocket coming up right away, but I think this is the best political ad I've seen of the referendum campaign so far from our friends at Alberta's Choice, which is me. Let's watch.
When Alberta dared ask for fairness, Ottawa's strongest soldiers assembled.
We must protect the Federation.
Canada forever. Alberta under control.
Calm down, Alberta. The adults are talking.
We must control Alberta, even if it costs them everything.
Their mission was simple. Keep Alberta in. Keep Alberta paying.
You boys look like the HR department at a pipeline protest.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, just lovely.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know if it's going to convince any new people, but it's sure going to get some eyeballs, which is half the battle. So that's
well, and we've got to, this is what we've got to do, right? We've got to hit them on every battlefront, and that's why I'm trying to meet them on their traditional space, you know, with wire service press release, legacy media interviews, demonstrating that there's serious people behind the independence movement. We've given it serious thought, and it's a serious proposition because there's a legal pathway for it to be successful, and it's the right thing to do. So I'm going to keep going.
Well, Keith, there's nobody better suited for it than you. Yeah, we're just delighted to have you, working on this. And please keep us posted as to what you get up to. Like you always have an invitation here. Okay, Keith? Yes. Always.
Thanks so much.
Keith, one time before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find out more about your third-party advertiser.
Sure. So it's called letalbertadecide.com, letalbertadecide.com. And if you go there, there's a lot of information that you can use to help inform others and hopefully persuade others to be supportive of independence. And importantly, there's some easy to use features where you can donate. You can pick the amount of your donation and just click your way through it. And we will make sure that those dollars go to exceptionally good use to help us win this.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Keith. And also Ottawa Takes, if you need to be depressed, Ottawa Takes.
And
depressed or angry.
Yeah, if you want a little tool to impress your friends with, to help them realize how much of their hard-earned dollars is sent to Ottawa and wasted, go to ottawatakes.com as well. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Let's hit an ad break. Thanks, Keith. We'll talk again very, very soon. And Lise and I will be back on the other side.
For generations, many Canadians have preserved more than just firearms.
Many of our men and women
They've preserved history, tradition, competition, memories. But under Trudeau, and now Carney, heirlooms, estates, collectibles, and competition firearms now have to be surrendered and destroyed. while violent gun criminals get pass after pass, openly ignoring any legislation. Lawful gun owners are trapped in an increasingly unfair legal system. But we can help. Canada's National Firearms Association's Save Firearms program offers the legal pathway to preserve what matters, while we work towards a political solution. Don't let yours be next. Save history. Save heritage. Save firearms. Visit nfa.ca today to learn more.
Hi, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. My best-selling paperback launched a few months ago. Now the ebook version is finally here. Independence Blueprint, What Alberta Can Learn from Quebec, is officially available for download. Before Quebec's 1995 referendum, Quebecers didn't just argue emotionally about separation. They asked practical questions about what came next. What happens to pensions, currency, trade with the rest of Canada, borders, citizenship, Indigenous relations, debt sharing, and even international recognition. And unlike what we're currently seeing in Alberta, Quebec actually created commissions, held hearings, heard expert testimony, and worked through those questions completely in public. That's what this book is about. Independence Blueprint digs into the serious groundwork Quebec did before its referendum and explores what Alberta can learn from that process today, whether you support independence, greater autonomy, or simply want to understand where this conversation is headed. Because if Alberta is going to have this debate, and we are, it should be an informed one, not just whatever panic-driven talking points the CBC throws together to terrorize you over the dinner hour. Download the ebook today at independenceblueprint.com.
Canada's been told to just quit smoking for decades, same message over and over, and yet millions of Canadians still smoke. So let's ask a follow-up question. For those who don't quit, what about change? In 2026, Canada has options that didn't exist years ago. Smoke-free alternatives for adults who would otherwise continue smoking. That doesn't mean risk-free, it means informed choice. If you don't smoke, don't start. If you smoke, quit. But for those who don't quit, change could still be part of the conversation. That's why Canadians should check out unsmoke.ca, an information resource focused on smoke-free alternatives and honest facts, not judgment. Put the lighter down, Canada. Learn what your options are.
Just staying on the topic of the Liberals' attempt to colonize us with bad ideas, I don't know if you saw who was announced as Mark Carney's, I guess, Alberta whisperer.
Oh, who? Tell.
So his new Alberta whisperer is an Ottawa insider named Morgan Bright-Kreutz. I don't know if I'm saying that right, and I'm not sure I care. So he's been tapped to tell us to calm down, sit down, shut up, and just behave ourselves.
Right. Because that's worked before.
Yeah, that's not how we got
times.
here or anything like that. That's not what brought us to this moment. So according to the Globe and Mail, Bright-Kreutz will lead the federal government's efforts to respond to separatism, but he's not just like a Liberal insider. He's a longtime Liberal organizer, served in senior political roles, acting chief of staff, deputy chief to Randy Boissonnault, of all people.
My
Randy
word.
Boissonnault.
Like immediate disqualification. Okay, absolutely disqualified from being an expert on
I don't know which Randy he was chief of staff to, the Randy or the other Randy who was running his pandemic PPE company when he should have been voting in the House of Commons. So he's also been like background filler in all the Liberals' campaign announcements, like stampede events, because you can't get people to show up to these things willingly. So he's supposed to tell us to behave ourselves, but there's more to that. So he, according to albertafactcheck.com, which is me, but we pulled the lobbying registry records, and Morgan Bright-Kreutz, who's supposed to tell us to just settle down because Daddy Carney has it for us. when we looked on the
Oh.
federal lobbying registry at 5 a.m., because that's what I do when the world is sleeping, he was the point man on so many of the things that we're mad about.
Oh.
He was, at least according to the lobbying registry, I pulled a meeting, January 31st, 2024, when Meg Energy met with senior government officials regarding energy and environmental issues. The communications report lists Brightcroutz as the Deputy Chief of Staff at Environment and Climate Change Canada. And so the guy that Carney has sent to tell us to settle down, everything's fine, is quite literally the guy who is in the background making everything even worse for us with all the environmental regulations, pipeline blocks, everything like that. This is him. This is the guy Carney picked. I would have been more amenable to him sending Jason Kenney. Like if Jason Kenney
Bro, give me Randy
advising role.
Give me Randy Boissonneau. At least we know what he
At least it would have been
for.
fun. Yes. I would have had so many jokes. It would have been fun. But they send me the bureaucrat behind all of the issues we're mad about to tell us, don't be mad anymore. Thanks.
Well, and in that piece that we just saw on the screen, it talked about, him sort of being an interlocutor between the government side and industry groups. And make no mistake that they are going to be lobbying Alberta's energy sector to stay in Canada with every fear tactic you've ever heard.
And so far, they're not. So far, to the credit of the oil and gas industry, who are very wobbly politically. They don't, they don't like to fight with the government, even though they watch their share prices drop, even though they watch their revenue drop, even though they have to issue layoffs.
They have to do layoffs. Exactly this.
They never really step into the fray, except lately they have come out and said, there are 100 different reasons that, things aren't going well, and it's in Ottawa. All of them are in Ottawa.
Yeah,
so,
there. Yeah, bad ideas are exported from Ottawa into the West. And we see this across the board. But it's interesting that they would pick sort of an eco-radical to be the point person to try and convince Albertans to stay. And the crazy thing is I haven't heard a compelling argument that would convince Albertans to stay. Tell us what we're staying for, guys. Here's my little dog. I had her on that.
That's okay. At least it's not on your desk like my cat.
Well behaved that way. But they're not giving us valid reasons to want to stay. Like what we see as Westerners is everything that comes out of Ottawa is crooked and broken.
Yeah.
And we don't want it, and we could do it better ourselves. And also that we have no choice in the matter. We're done with this broken relationship.
Yeah, they sent the guy who is chief of staff to Guilbeault, who is like, I don't want to speak for the premier, but she didn't like him. And she's very clear about how Guilbeault was an inflammatory factor in what is driving Western alienation. And they thought, who we should get? More of that.
Guilbeault Jr., like the next one, like a copy paste of Guilbeault. Like, no, thank you. Yeah. If they were serious about compelling Albertans or Westerners to stay in the country, they would be giving us good reason to, and they're not.
Right.
What they're saying is we guarantee to do the exact same things that we've been doing for the last 120 years, but harder and faster and more. Yeah. No thanks. Again, no thanks. Didn't work out. These last 120 years, we don't want to give it another, 15 generations. We're done.
Yeah. Let's move on to Mark Carney. Conflict of interest Carney. You and I frequently, every time there's like some sort of spending announcement, we just Google who's getting the money plus
the word Brookfield. That's it. And then you find the common threads. Yeah.
Yes. So, and as I saw Blaise Bomer post on X today, there's no such thing as a blind trust because you know what you own. So even if you give it to somebody else to administer, you know what you own. And so when you're making policies that benefit the companies whose stocks you hold, you know that, even if somebody else is dealing with the daily administration, like that's stupid.
It's like a birthday piñata at the end. At the end, you get to find out what prizes you got.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just like a surprise at the end. But we all know that the surprise is going to be in the benefit and for the personal gain of Mark Carney.
Right.
Even though he's been or has to recuse because of conflicts of interest. How many thousands of companies does Brookfield have access to, right? Or that they work with or whatever? And how many whisper deals is Mark Carney doing in the background? Because this is what we've seen of him, is he tells the Canadian public one thing through the corrupt, gross, broken mainstream media. And then we find out that he's actually done a whole different thing, but just in the background, out of the scope of accountability or transparency. I mean, it just goes to show you that he was maybe the only person in the world that could have been worse than Justin Trudeau, because Justin Trudeau, for all of his, flaws, was a bloviating buffoon of a man. Okay, we could all just write him off. We got a worse version in Mark Carney. Yeah,
we sure did. Olivia, I'm going to send you another link because it's not on the list, but it's something I want to talk about because Lise and I have had to struggle with groceries in our lives. So, but first let's get to Mark Carney. Mark Carney is sidelined from at least 17 government deliberations because of his corporate conflicts. So the revelation is contained in letters that the Privy Council office, so the PCO, sent to parliamentary committee that probed the, quote, screens that Carney set up last year to protect himself from conflicts of interest. And if you watch committee, you know how effective these screens are, and you know how effective our conflict of interest commissioner is, because I was watching the Alto committee hearings, and they called in the conflict commissioner. And for those of you who don't know,
is that the German
Conrad,
what's his face? Yes.
Finkenstein. He's just straight out of central casting for James Bond villain. And for those of you who don't know, Alto is like a $90 to $100 billion government project for high-speed rail that will only serve the Laurentian Bermuda Triangle. And the rest of us are going to have to pay for it. It's going to make the lives of government workers and their commute a lot easier, except for that one thing in the middle of this where they don't actually even go to the office to work. So who's going to actually be using this thing? And all the executives are getting millions of dollars in bonuses before even an inch of rail has been laid. And Francois Philippe Champagne, his wife, is the VP of environment there. So she's getting the bonuses. He's voting on this. He's the finance minister. Alto is a line item. Alto is a line item. He hired the Alto guy to come and help him with his budget presentation to make sure the French was okay. And I found this out in an exchange during committee where both the Conservative asking the question and Francois Philippe Champagne were corresponding with each other in perfect French. Like, why did we have to hire an outside guy from Alto to check the French on this? Everybody here seems to be perfectly fluent. Oh, it's just because we're just giving money to Alto every possible which way we can. So if you think that these screens are effective, they're not, because when the commissioner was asked about the very obvious conflict of interest of the finance minister, the guy giving the money to Alto, and his wife is a VP there who's also getting bonuses, and then hiring the guy from Alto to check his French. Oh, and by the way, at the commissioner's office, Dominic LeBlanc's sister-in-law is the chief of legal there. So she's the person who signs off on this stuff. Yeah, perfectly legal, no big deal. So if you think that these screens are effective and Mark Carney is completely recused of this stuff, no, not even. Not even.
A little bit. Oh, this is so gross and yet predictable for Canada. Back in 2015, the media stopped casting a critical eye on the government and started doing like cheerleading for the government. And because they were never called out on their more minor ethical violations, this just gave them permission to carte blanche do whatever they wanted. And they have been for the last 10 years.
Completely.
Like you just heard Sheila Gunn Reid. They invested, they stopped
$100 billion.
these. It's just, that actually hurts. Like it's actually physically painful to know that this level of corruption is happening in Canada. And the worst that, like, the crazy thing is like, if the ethics commissioner finds that there has been a violation of Canadian ethics rules, the fines are like $250 or something like this. Like, they're so minuscule. It would never, ever stop somebody from doing something unethical. In other countries, when elected jail,
straight to jail,
Singapore,
straight to jail.
Singapore has bamboo canes in Singapore. Bamboo canes in Singapore if you're caught doing something like this. And yet here you have these guys living high on the hog in their ivory towers, while the rest of us are made to toil so they can enrich themselves. It's wild.
The average performance bonus over at Alto is like 68,000, I believe. So yeah, to take a $250 ethics violation hit, you're crying all the way to the bank.
Okay. It's okay. Yeah. What are you going to do with the extra
dab your eyes with $100 bills?
Yeah. Oh Lord, it's embarrassing. Welcome to Canada.
I think this is the Globe and Mail. According to a summary posted online by Parliament's ethics watchdog, well, I just told you how effective the watchdog is. Carney's staff are, Carney's staff are supposed to prevent him from being aware or participating in any official matters or decision-making processes involving the interests of a list of 103 companies. These include, of course, Brookfield, the global asset firm where Carney worked from 2020 to 2025, while simultaneously advising Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Payment processor Stripe, where Carney was a board member for 4 years, and, quote, any company owned or controlled by them, end quote. I'm sure everything's fine.
It's fine. Nothing to see here. All of these 103 companies that Mark Carney has intimate relationships are just going to be totally above board now. Okay.
Yes.
And they're probably not using back channels to,
he knows what he owns. He knows what he owns, right? So, like,
and they all work in the same circles. They all work in the same circles.
And they all know what he owns. So even if he this is like the Green Slush Fund. They all know what each other owns. So when they say, oh, I'm recusing myself from this decision-making process, I'm going to step outside. You guys make the decision, and then I'll come back.
Consider me. Don't consider me or Mike. Don't consider me. Don't think of me.
Don't even think of me. I'm nothing. I'm nobody.
Okay, besties, I'm just going to step out of the room, and then when I come back, we'll have champagne. But again, don't let that, do not let that
and when I come back, I'm going to vote on your company.
Right.
So
right. Unreal.
Like, it's just so stupid. And that ethics screen was used 17 times from the 1st of January to May 4th.
Oh, wow. Well, then how many decisions is our prime minister not privy to? Because he
also
has
there's
so many
that.
There's
that too.
Like,
who's running the place?
No, truly, who is running the place? If he, like, you know what? I could see this being a liability later. I could see this being a liability later, because Mark Carney is going to claim, listen, something's going to go wrong. There's going to be a scandal that's exposed. Mark Carney is going to say, I had to recuse myself because of my conflict of interest. And the Canadian public is going to say, who was running the show then?
Right.
And then realize the error of their ways for falling for liberal lies again. But this could be a humongous liability. Sure.
A normal ethical person would have said, I'm too conflicted. You have to find somebody else to be the leader. Like, they would have declined the courtship to become the leader. They would have said, you know what, I'm too conflicted. It'll smell of corruption. That's just not right. I just won't. I'm already gajillionaire. I don't need to be in charge of this. You know, like I'll support you, but but that's not Mark Carney.
Yeah, no, it sure is not.
Where do I move from here? I saw this thing from Chris Sims, so I thought I'd have her on the Gunn Show this week to talk about it. The Liberal government keeps finding new and creative ways to attack the poor. So we saw Andrew Lawton last week discuss the GST on used car sales, like through dealerships.
Okay.
And so this is an item that you've already paid the full GST on, and they're getting you every time you trade it in, every time it changes hands. In BC, thanks to the HST, you pay 12% on a used car in taxes. And if you don't pay it at the point of sale, they get you at the registries. I mean, it's crazy. And so that's not attacking people who are buying a $250,000 car.
Right.
Or a $150,000 pickup. This is people who've scraped together $6,000 to get a Camry, right?
Yeah, just a beater to get to and from work. Yeah.
So I can't make sense of what Chris uncovered. If we can play that clip that I sent you from her X account, please, Olivia. It's very surprising. While the government is simultaneously giving out grocery checks. This is what they're doing in the background. Oh, sorry. Did I not send it to you? Maybe I didn't. I was busy talking to Lise. Hang on. It's here now. You got it, Olivia? Perfect.
It's coming. It's loading in the control room.
But just remember this in the context that they're giving out grocery money. And that is, if that's not a symptom of a failed state, I don't know what is. If you're middle class and you're poor, can't afford milk, you are doing something very wrong in a G7 country. And no one should be applauded for this. But this is what Chris uncovered this week.
Breaking news. The federal government in Ottawa is doing something really stupid. Yeah, they're slapping a tariff, a trade tax, on canned vegetables. So tariffs are just taxes. Taxes make things cost more, not less. People need food to cost less in Canada. So what on earth is this government doing? Make it make sense. So I tried to make it make sense. I went and read the news release and I read the backgrounder. Here's what's happening as far as I can tell. Effective immediately, there's going to be a 10% trade tariff, 10% tax on canned vegetables that are imported from countries other than the United States, Mexico, and developing nations, whatever that currently means. So what is this going to hit? Well, I walked down the aisle and I took a look. Let's take a look at lemon curd from Belgium. Who knew? Belgium is not a developing country, so this is imported, but ding, 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 last I checked, lemons are a fruit. So I don't think this one's going to get taxed, but let's not give the government any more stupid ideas. So you're probably safe there. Kept on moving down the aisle and, mushy peas from jolly old England. England is not currently a developing nation, and this is in a can.
Not currently.
It's imported, so you're going to be paying more for this. In all seriousness, though, this is going to be affecting food that you do buy and use. Black olives, anyone? These are from Spain. They're in a can. They're imported. They're going to get this food tax slapped on it. People use this all the time. I use it on homemade pizza and Greek salad, okay? And this last one makes me really mad. So I'm going to try to keep my temper on video. Recognize this? Yeah, canned tomatoes. People use this all the time. They use this in pasta. They use this in things like spaghetti sauce, in chili. This is a staple of most people's pantries. And you know, folks who are routinely making things like pasta and spaghetti sauce and chili, yeah, they're usually trying to stretch a dollar. They're usually trying to save money. But instead, this federal Liberal government is going to make this cost you more.
Okay, I think that's good. I think
Why?
you get what's happening here.
Well, I was just thinking, it's going to cost people more than the 10% tariff, like the tariff tax, because grocery stores know that people are more likely to buy things that end in 98 or 99 or 00. The end. So they're not only gonna add that 10%, but they're gonna bump it up to the next dollar so that it's more palatable for consumers.
Yep. Yeah, it's
and this
in
is
a, in a
go ahead,
country in a country that's giving out grocery rebates, they are taxing, like the canned tomatoes got me, because that is how you stretch your ground beef. It's how you stretch your spaghetti. It's a major thing that they want at the food banks.
It's a base.
Yes.
It's a base food for everything else. It can be used 175 different ways. And by increasing the cost on that disproportionately affects every dish that you can make.
Yeah. And the poor who can pay for it the least. And I don't understand why they're doing this. Do they think that only fancy people are buying, like, do they think this only affects mushy peas? And so fancy people from the UK, fleeing the UK, I should say, are coming here and they're feeling a little homesick, so they need clotted cream and mushy peas. Instead, the unintended consequences are that this is going to hurt the poor. But leave it to the Carney family to not know what groceries cost or even what groceries are. Do you remember that video where they were walking through the grocery store like a couple of space aliens who just landed, picking up onions and saying, what do you do with this thing? Like, it of course they don't get groceries.
I saw the Conservatives did a little math on this too, and Mark Carney has spent more on catered food on flights
for sure
than a family of four could be fed for 55 years.
I believe
on
that.
The cost that Mark Carney has spent on airplane catering in his tenure as our prime minister in his 1 year. That is diabolical.
Yeah.
Considering food bank usage in Canada disproportionately affects children, hunger disproportionately affects children and vulnerable families. Increased, there was what I can't remember the exact number, but I want to say it was like 20. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Food bank usage in Canada is up exponentially because people can't afford food, and this is just another. This is just salt in the wound. This is just salt in the wound.
Before we get to the Pride Day for kids aged 5 to 14, and I imagine somebody's getting in trouble down there because the school is in Alberta. Let's go to this story real quick from the National Post. 5-year sentence cut in half for armed carjacker because pretrial custody was harsh and demeaning. I'm not mad that it was harsh and demeaning for him. Jaden Robinson has lived his life under the yoke of racism and colonialism, says the judge. Can we scroll down? Anytime a judge uses the phrase colonialism,
you just know.
The 1 day sentence he handed a carjacker.
Stole a Toronto driver's Mercedes at gunpoint. What?
And then the judge blames the jail for failing the community. Jaden Robinson spent 809 days, 2 years and 79 days in pretrial custody, which means he didn't qualify for bail. And literally everybody qualifies for bail. So he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
He pleaded guilty in the Ontario Court of Justice to robbery with a prohibited weapon for a March 2024 mid-afternoon carjack. Mid-afternoon down at the mall. Both the Crown and Robinson's lawyer recommend he get the mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years in prison. His own lawyer asked for 5 years.
Oh, and then the justice literally just gets ahead of himself and says some will decry that what they call the court's catch and release approach to criminal justice.
I'm some.
He literally just rounds himself out on that and still reduces the sentence of this shopping mall armed carjacker
with prohibited weapon.
Right. because of his history. Because of his
He
history.
didn't get medical or dental treatment behind bars for an ankle injury or a broken tooth he suffered during his arrest. Don't fight the cops. Don't fight them.
Maybe don't carjack vehicles at the mall mid-afternoon with a prohibited weapon, and you won't break your tooth.
Yeah.
Wear a helmet,
cops-
buddy.
Yeah. Don't resist arrest.
Actually, but like, to be fair, this is a really great car, a 2023 Mercedes-Benz S580. It's great. It's fun. Listen, I could see why he would be attracted to that vehicle, but that's not how you get it. You see, if you want to drive a Mercedes-Benz, you have to pay for it. Like, that's how you get one, sir. Yes.
You got to work. Yeah. The cops roughed him up upon arrest. You know, they probably threw him to the ground, as you would an armed carjacker.
Right.
And then he didn't get timely access to medical and dental care. Welcome to being a Canadian.
Too bad. Yeah. Get in here with the rest of us, big guy.
Yeah. Get in line. Okay. I'm just going to check to see if we have any chats. No. If there are, Olivia, just drop them in there. Ranch View School. This is the cringe. This is going to make Lise real mad. Ranch View School in Cochrane, of all places. Cochrane, Alberta. That's on the Cowboy Trail. Holds Pride Day for children age 5 to 14 years. They say there's some surprising claims surrounding how the school conducted the day's events. I bet there was. Can we scroll down, please? No.
This is from our friends at the
it's behind the paywall. What I do know is that if parents weren't notified, there's going to be hell to pay at that school, because we have a law that says we have to be notified.
Well, I do hope that your government enforces that law, because what these educrats have learned is that they can do bait and switches with parents. They can send home a note or a message, on their online messaging platforms that they use to communicate with parents, and say, this is the plan that we've come up with for Pride Week. And then what actually happens to other people's children is completely different. And I can't wait for the truth to all come out on this. Parents of Cochrane, obviously, we're on your side. Obviously, we want the best for your children. And if your kids were negatively impacted by this, you can email us at tips@rebelnews.com.
Yeah, if you weren't appropriately notified by the school, or if you were misled about what this event would be, I want to hear from you. Because I just have a hard time believing that a ton of parents in Cochrane
said,
would
yes,
be okay
please
with
take
that.
our kids and do Pride things at schools with them when we're not looking.
Yeah. We have an opt-out law here, and parents have to be appropriately notified about the full context of what their kids are going to be exposed to. But I think the broader issue is, what kind of depraved lunatic wants to expose a 5-year-old to any of this?
Exactly. What are the motivations of the people who would explore a child's sexuality with the child?
Yeah.
We all know what the motivation is.
Of course we do. I'm just checking for chats. Olivia, do we have any chats? Okay, great. I'm out of here for the next 2 days. And so is Lise, so you won't see me on the stream. We're busy.
We're going to come back completely different women. Okay.
Yeah.
we're going on a pilgrimage. Okay.
Our annual pilgrimage to the Pinoca Stampede. If you see us there, come say hi. It's our annual Girls Week.
Yes,
so we'll be out and about in the heart of rodeo country. So behave yourselves, everybody, while I'm gone.
Don't let anything happen. Please, no major news while we're gone. Please, everyone, just hold it down for us. And thanks so much for joining us on this wild adventure today.
Yes, Olivia, thanks for running the board, and everybody who works behind the scenes at Rebel News to make sure the show's there for you to click where and when you want to click it. Thanks to those of you who interact with our content, who share it. That's a super free way to help us get the word out. The more you interact with our content, the more it's served up to more people. So we appreciate you for that. I don't know. I'll see you next week sometime. I don't know. Sometime we'll be back. Yeah, at some point. You know me. You can't stop me from working. I'll be working while I'm there for sure. Anyway, let's sign off on the show. As we frequently say on the show here, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all. In Canada, firearms owners like me understand the importance of safe, effective self-defense options. That's why we're proud to have Byrna as a sponsor. Byrna's less lethal launchers are designed to help protect you and your family without taking a life. Byrna offers peace of mind, accessibility, and a practical layer of personal security for Canadians who value safety. Learn more at byrna.ca/rebel. That's BYRNA.ca/rebel.